Hello there, everyone. Patricia Hayes here. How are you today? So excited to have you join me for another Coffee Time Career Chat. And for those of you who are joining for the first time, again, my name is Patricia. I am an executive advisor, leadership empowerment coach, and authentic networking strategist. And all those things mean is I love working with people who are trying to get to the next level of who they want to be and do in their personal lives and their professional careers, but to do so in a way that's aligned with their values, right? And coffee time is all about making sure we share those things that can help us to become better leaders, to help us as we strengthen our career growth, and as well as our personal and professional networks and strategic relationship building to help us to achieve all those fantastic goals that we have. So that said, we are continuing with our series on leadership, and specifically the Leadership Legacies series. That if you've been following this series, it's a spin-off from the Presidential Leadership Legacy series that I did several years ago. And I've been wanting to do one focused for Women's History Month, but I hadn't done it. So you are part of my little beta project to start focusing on that as we use Harriet Tubman this month as the inspiration for our Leadership Legacy series. And we have talked about what leaders need to be mindful of. We've talked about what boldness is and some of those big things that leaders need to be aware of when they're seeking to be bold leaders, what those three things that they really need to make sure that they have and be mindful of. Their mindset, that they have set clear goals and big dreams, and that they're building those strategic relationships and how that's played in. And so I invite you to go back, check it out. All of the coffee chats are saved in the YouTube channel, so you can go, splurge and binge whenever you want, and or just hit me up and I'll point you in the right direction. Always a good idea to start with the website patriciavhayes.com. That will get you to most places, and also, again, don't hesitate to reach out to me. Have to say those things first because I always forget at the end. Okay, here we go. So today, in continuing this series that's been inspired by Harriet Tubman, and the fact that I finally got around to watching the movie Harriet a few weeks ago, which was it was just so invigorating. I will be watching it again and doing some more homework on my own to update to some of the depth of the things that I learned during the course of the movie. But here's the thing. There are 6 things that bold leaders really need to be mindful of when they are looking to, to move forward, right? Those nuggets that everyone wishes that someone would share with them, but no one did. Well, we're going to talk about them here today. Again, venturing from being inspired from the original Leadership Legacy series and moving it forward to today. But first, let's be mindful again of what boldness requires. And that is not hesitating or being fearful in the face of actual or possible danger or rebuff, being courageous and being daring. I'm always a little hesitant about that, not being fearful, because you could be fearful and be scared and still be courageous at the same time. But the next level of this definition that I really like was going beyond the usual limits of conventional thought or action, and using your imagination. I love that, going beyond the usual limits. That's really zoning in on what boldness is all about. And that when you're a leader, not just someone with a title, but a leader is about how you're impacting and influencing those who are under your auspices in some way, right? Whether you're leading a team, an organization, something in the community, you could be leading yourself. You should be leading yourself. We'll talk about that. But in any case, it's about leading others to get to a goal, to accomplish a goal, to achieve an end that they might not otherwise do on their own, right? They've got to have someone to help shepherd them, to guide them, and to do so in the way that honors the people that are being served and not just the person in the leadership position. Okay? Now, that said, those 6 nuggets that I want to share with you today. Here is the first one. The first one is that you have to be a leader in your own life, no matter what things look like around you. I know that's a mouthful, but think about it in terms of Harriet Tubman and how she did that, right? Here she is, a slave who's married to a freed man who has parents who have been freed, but her freedom has not been granted. And to recognize that I too can have it, even though everything around me says no. Everything around me might say, you should probably let that go and just go along and to get along and be done with it, right? She did not do that. She took it upon herself to take the action, to be courageous, to make the personal sacrifices that it was going to take to free herself as well as those around her. And to do it repeatedly, to do it when it moved beyond freeing her entire family, but also to freeing others who she was not connected to in any way, right? You've got to be a leader in your own life first. And sometimes that's the piece that really hangs people up, right? It really gets us hung up because we're not sure about how we can lead ourselves. And so we get that imposter syndrome, of, well, I don't know, because if I can't do it here for myself, how am I supposed to be able to do it for others? Again, take that first step. Move beyond conventional wisdom. Move beyond what people, the naysayers, are saying in your head, and take that first step first. Take that leap first for yourself. And you would be amazed at what follows as a result of taking that first leap of faith. Okay? Man, there's so much there. We could definitely stay there, but we will keep it moving. Okay, so here is bold leadership nugget number 2. Number 2 is you have to be willing to assess the situation and step away as required. Another tough one. Because you can see how things are going and we may not like it, right? But the thing that's really tough is not just seeing something that's going on around you, being aware of it, taking it in, but being able to move on in spite of what you see or because of what you see. Not just to move on, but to step back, right? For Harriet, that moment, she had several of them, but one of them for sure was when she returned home to save her husband, to get her husband, to only find out that because he thought she was dead, that he had remarried. And she could have just said, you know what? Forget this. You know what? I'm not doing this anymore. I'm going to stay here with my family. I'm going to figure out how to, to do this. And maybe try to say if she could, quote, fight for him or something. But she realized that was not going to get her what she really wanted. Helping to free him and get him to a freed land so that they could be free together was one of her major goals. But when she realized that goal, that dream was no longer going to be a reality for her, she stepped away from it, however painful it was, to say, wait, there's more to this goal. There's more to this dream. And that included freeing her family members, right? Freeing those around them, their friends and family. And she moved on to do just that, right? That's a piece that's so hard for us. I know it's hard for me. I mean, this is not just some willy-nilly thing. I know for a fact there have been moments where I've assessed what's going on, But some part of me is just still wanting to hang on and be like, well, but maybe I can, if I do this, I can make it better. But sometimes we have to recognize as leaders that you can't save everybody. Hello. It's just not meant to be. And it's okay. It doesn't mean you can't still accomplish your goal. It doesn't mean that you can't still accomplish your dreams and pursue them. It just means that thing, that person, that opportunity is no longer going to be a part of it. You can step away from it and move on. And it will be okay. Tough words, but real words. Okay? Bold leadership nugget number 3. Oh, wow. We have to remember that sometimes we have to take action despite apparent deficiencies and obstacles. How? You're like, what are you talking about? It looks so blurry. It looks so dangerous out there. There's no way I can get that goal accomplished or achieve that dream now because I don't have enough money. I don't have enough connections. There isn't enough time, right? Always it's not enough, or, these are the negative things that are standing in my way. But think about Harriet. Harriet had people literally chasing her down her entire life because she was a former slave who got away and then came and messed with the slave master's money by freeing more slaves. You want to talk about something that looks like a whole bunch of obstacles and the deficiencies. Oh my gosh. Not having help, not having seemingly enough time, maybe sometimes not even having the right resources until she did. Because as she took action, those things came to her. Wow, how powerful is that? When you take action, oh my gosh, y'all know how I am. I got to write this down. When you take that action, the things that are missing will appear. The things that are missing will appear. I love it. But they only come when you start to move, when you take that leap of faith, when you're moving in spite of everything that's looking around you that looks grim, it doesn't look good. Been there, done that several times. Whether it's with a position that didn't work out, or whether it was with folks who are, not meaning, you well. That happens a lot. They don't mean you well. And they come after you boldly and in front of you, or maybe a little bit behind you, a little more sneakily, right? So those deficiencies and obstacles that are in your way, guess what? They're not going to be there forever. You have to take action anyways. Be bold. Go over and beyond. Do it in the face of those things. Be courageous. All right. Okay. Bold leadership nugget number 4. Number 4. Differing thoughts matter even more. What does that mean? You don't have to have everybody in agreement with what you're doing and how you're going to do it in order for the action to take place. In fact, sometimes having that differing thought, that difference of opinion, can actually feed your ability to think differently and enhance the goal and the dream you're pursuing. Because we can all have people who are like, rah, rah, yes, you're wonderful, all these things are great. And we need those people, right? I'm not downplaying that at all. We absolutely need those things. But sometimes when there's folks who are like, I don't know, I don't think you should do that. Maybe this is not the right time. all of those things, it doesn't mean you have to ignore them. It also doesn't mean you have to accept them, right? You don't have to accept that negativity. However, what's the grain of truth with what they're saying? Maybe it's just remembering to acknowledge, hey, there are going to be some challenges. How will I address them? Right? Yes, what they're saying is true. There are some difficulties there, but I can overcome them by doing X, Y, Z. Okay. You don't have to own those difficult thoughts. You don't have to own those differing thoughts, but you can allow them to, to have an impact and influence how you move next from the perspective of making sure that you broaden your thinking, that you're fully aware, right? So for Harriet, once she got free, and then she announced to her new connections and relationships in the freed land that she's going back. They were like, "Are you crazy?" They were like, "No, we don't. That's not why we do this. Like, we pull people along and you free and then you help from here. We don't send people back to go get more people, like physically. It's dangerous. There's no guarantee that you'll make it." And her response was, "Thank you. I hear you, and I'm still going to do it." I love that scene. She's like, "Okay, that's fine. I'm going to do it whether you help me or not. I appreciate your thoughts, but I'm going to do this. So you can be in or not, but I'm going to do it." Right? Sometimes that's where we get to, is acknowledging this train is moving. I'm going to get it done one way or the other. It'd be nice to have you come along, but if you can't, it's okay. Because the truth is, and this is a whole other conversation, everybody's not meant to come along, right? Everyone's not meant to come along to that next level, and you trying to pull them along can actually impede your growth. That's a whole other conversation for sure, right? Don't impede your growth trying to pull people along who aren't ready. You're going to see that one again too. Okay. I wanted to make sure and capture that. Bold leadership number 5, nugget number 5, which is, don't be afraid to take a huge, bold step to achieve your goals. And it seems kind of implied. You're like, well, isn't that what this whole thing is? But like, it's one of those things that literally has to be said, right? Is not to be afraid to take that huge step in order to achieve your goals. Because we can be doing all of these things and we can take some action, but what's that big, huge thing that you may even be avoiding? Or thinking, well, maybe if I can move around and do it this way. No, sometimes the big hairy thing has to be done if you really want to achieve that huge goal. So for Harriet, going back to the South was dangerous. Again, she had people literally hunting her down, ready to kill her at a moment's notice because she was messing with their money by freeing all these slaves because the slaves were property. But here's the thing. She decided to do it anyways. And ultimately, she saved her family and hundreds of others because she decided to go ahead and pursue that big, hairy goal, big, hairy dream that she had of providing freedom to as many people as she possibly could. Right? She did it. She didn't do it alone, but she did it. And she was willing to do it alone if that was necessary. That's the key thing. She was willing to do it alone. That's how strongly she felt. That's how committed she was She's willing to make the ultimate sacrifice of even dying in the process, but she was going to get it done. Question of how committed are you to the big, hairy goal that you have? Deep breaths. Yes? Okay. Here's the last one. Bold leadership nugget number 6. Don't be overcome with overwhelm, no matter how dire the situation. Here's the thing. You're going to get overwhelmed. Did you hear that? The underlying assumption is at some point, you will become overwhelmed by what it is you're trying to do. You will start to think, oh my God, have I lost my mind? Am I crazy? Am I really trying to do this? Harriet had those moments. And then it blipped because she remembered what she was really here to do and what was at stake. Not just her life, but others' freedoms, right? So the key is, I'm not saying don't be overwhelmed. I said don't be overcome by the overwhelm. Don't let it take over and block your path, block the goal, block the dream. That's that whole conversation I always love to have. There's a song by Kirk Franklin. I reference it. If you followed me, I've referenced it before. It's called Hello, Fear. And you should check it out. It's great. And it's really him having this conversation with fear and about saying, hey, I see you, I hear you, but you got to go. I love using that analogy by saying, fear can come along for the ride, but they got to sit in the passenger seat because they can't drive. I'm driving this. Fear is real. It is okay to be scared. It is okay to be like, oh my gosh, but don't let it take over the driver's seat. Bottom line. Okay? There we are. Man, so much goodness in such a short amount of time. I love it. Those are your 6 bold leadership nuggets for today. I'd love to get your feedback or input on them. Hit me up in the DMs, give me some comments. Let me hear from you. And I feel like some of that is going to need to be followed up on again. So keep an eye out for some additional posts related to these leadership nuggets and as we move forward. All right. If you need any assistance with whether it's a leadership thing, whether it's with a career transition concern, or whether it's with setting up some strategic leadership development for your team, let me know. Let's get on a call, have a conversation, talk about what the needs are and how to make it happen. And if I'm not the right person, we'll find you the right person. Okay? Have a fantastic day, everyone. I look forward to chatting with you again soon. Take care.